Welcome to our channel, Million Dollars Made Easy. On this channel, we run numbers for people, projecting ahead what you might have in the future. What we do is use the actual historical returns for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years, which includes the depression years, as we want to see what the worst case scenario might be. We project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. They won't be identical. The resulting numbers are simply a possible range of what may happen in the future. They will be ballpark figures. Folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a numbers guy who's set up dozens of spreadsheets to help run numbers for you. Let's look at somebody that's maybe 28, 29, 30 years old. This just shows you what we knew of this channel. Let's say, for example, you got a little bit saved up. You got 10,000 saved up. Again, like you're 28, 29, 30, 31, along in there. And you're able to put in $300 a month, and you're able to increase that by 3% a year. This just shows you all the different variables we can run. Okay, so it'll be $300 the first year, then 309, 318, and so on, increasing by 3%. These are the 1924 numbers going down to you. Again, we won't have identical returns, but we're just going to come up with a range of what you might have in the future based on the last 100 years. Now, this is the actual graph of the 35-year period, 36-year period. Um, let's go ahead and run this is for 1924, by the way. No matter what year I pick, I want you to notice because you got 36 years, it ends up, yeah, it's got some times when it goes down a little bit, but look where it ultimately ends up, folks. It just shoots up like a rocket. Why? Because of the compounding effect of these returns. They just end up, they may take a little while to take off, but look at what happens. And you pick 1929, where we had 4 down years in a row. It just took a while to take off, but look where it ended up 36 years later. And folks, this is a 36-year column. We got somebody that's 27, 28, maybe has up to 40 years until they reach full retirement, full Social Security retirement age 67. By the way, this black row is how much they would have put in. What we want to do is update this for every single year. Okay, these are the numbers for every single year from 1924 to 2023. Last year, the numbers we have for the whole year. I want you to notice, say, for example, we take the 36-year column right here. Over that 36-year period with these kind of numbers, individual would have put in $237,793. This is the amount you put in over these years. And in that worst case scenario, in the last 100 years for a 36-year period, you would have $1.536 million. Looks like it's 1939 going down here. The median in this column is 2.305 million. And there's actually a year where you would have had $4.793 million. So that's the range we talked about when we said provides us with simply a possible range of what may happen in the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future for sure. So we like to run the numbers given every single scenario. So again, the range for a 36-year period would be 1.536 to 4.793 million. Let's look at the 38-year column. By the way, 36-year column, 71% of the time you'd actually reach $2 million. That's color-coded in green. 15% of the time you'd reach color-coded in blue, you'd reach 3 million, and 3% of the time, color-coded in gold, which you won't see those unless we go down a little bit farther, $4 million. Well, look at what another 2 years would make, putting in this $300 a month, increasing that by 3% a year. What would happen if you stayed in the market for 38 years? Now we have 97% of the time color-coded in green, you'd reach $2 million. 44% color-coded in blue, you'd reach $3 million. And 6% of the time you'd reach $4 million. And there's the actual graph for the 38-year period. Again, these are 1924 numbers, but we can pick any ones you want. Even the depression years, if you're in it for long enough, look at the kind of money you could have after 36 and 38 years. Look at these numbers, folks, going all the way across to these are 1929 numbers. So if you're like maybe 27, 28, 29 along in there, you could be looking at these kind of numbers after 36 and 38 years. Again, this is the worst case scenario in the red, the median in this color, and the maximum you're going to find in the column is green. We also want to, let's do one more time. Let's do one more thing. Let's say you're 27 years old and you use these numbers. 100% of the time, then you get to 2 million. 82% of the time, you get to 3 million. And 26% of the time, color coded in gold, you get to 4 million. I just want to show you the kind of numbers. Now, we have to be realistic here, folks. In 36, 38, 40, or whatever time period you pick, this amount's not going to have the same buying power. So we always like to run it at a 3% inflation rate. We can change this to anything you want. What would these type of numbers have in buying power, for example, in 36 years? What would this 1.536 have in buying power? It'd be 530,000. Again, these are all estimates, 530,000, 174,000. This median is column 2.305 with a buying power of 795,000. I've also taken the liberty to show you what buying power in future dollars would have, or actually in today's dollars would have, from these amounts in the worst case scenario, given a 4% withdrawal rate. Again, using the numbers for the last 100 years, you'd be able to withdraw $1,767. This is in the worst case scenario. If you only had the 1.536, if you had returns like 1939, if you had the buying power of only 530,000, with a 4% withdrawal rate, you could withdraw $1,767 a month. Look how it jumps up just 2 years later, almost $200 more. And if you just did 4 years later, this would be the amount you could withdraw monthly for your living expenses based on this amount and what the buying power would have. This is what you would be able to do. So if you think you need $5,000 a month in expenses today, this calculates this your nest egg would be covering about half of that. Now, again, folks, this is in the worst case scenario. I hope I'm not losing here. What if we just go to the median? I'm just going to change this to the median and watch these numbers totally increase. Now you have 2651 in the median case. In other words, it's 2.305 with a buying power of 795,000. With a 4% withdrawal rate, you'd be able to withdraw 2651. So, for example, say you were getting 2,400 from Social Security. Again, 35 years from now, you're going to have a lot more than that. But in buying power, you easily reach your 5,000 a month. I do this in other videos. I hope I'm not losing here. I do this in other videos. This just kind of gives you an idea of what it can do if you just wait a couple of years until you retire with these kind of numbers, folks. I just want to try to cover a whole lot in this spreadsheet, and maybe I'm doing too much, but I just love to run numbers for people, showing you what you might have. Again, if you're 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, along in there, and you have these kind of time periods, just putting in this kind of money, if you only have 10,000 to start with, look at the kind of numbers you can have. Let me just do it. One other thing. Let's just change this. Let's just say you have 15,000 saved up, and you can do $350 a month, and you just do a 2% COLA. Let's go ahead and update this and see how these numbers change. I don't expect you to remember these numbers, but before you had 2,600 a month. Now you've got 3,000 a month. You just increased that by $50 a month, and you actually took a lesser COLA. I mean, a lesser increase each month, but look at the kind of numbers you'd have after 36 years. 94% of the time you get to 2 million, 35% time color-coded in blue, you get to 3 million, and 9% of the time you get to 4 million. That's a 36-year period. How about the 38-year period? Watch how these numbers change. Now, 100% of the time over 2 million, 73% over 3 million, and 19 over 4 million. Let's go one other year, one other time. Say, for example, you're 27, can do these kind of numbers. You've already have this much saved up, but you can put in $350 a month, increase it by 2% a year. What would the 40-year? Now, 62% of the time you'd get to $4 million. What would the buying power of that be in 40 years with a 3% inflation rate? In the worst case scenario, 2.576 at a buying power of 789,000. But with a 4% withdrawal rate, you could withdraw 4,200 a month from this worst case scenario. Now, this is the median, excuse me. The worst case scenario is 2633. But if you would have this median amount right here in buying power, look at how much you'd have, 4,202. If you're currently expecting to maybe have, again, this is so far out, it's hard to predict. But if you're expecting 5,000 a month in monthly expenses now, which would be 60,000 a year now, this is the kind your nest egg would provide, 4,202. If you had Social Security providing the difference, you could easily make up that $5,000 a month. But again, this is projecting out way ahead. But I just want to show you the difference between staying in at 36 years and staying in at 40 years. That 4 more years, look at the difference, over $1,000 a month coming in. And again, this is in the median account. If we go back to the worst case scenario, these numbers right here, the difference between 36 years, 38 years, and 40 years, look at the difference in your monthly income projected ahead in the future. But again, and that's what we do on this channel. We run all kinds of different numbers. As you can see, I'm trying to condense a whole lot into these spreadsheets, showing you what you can do if you're in it for the long term, what the worst case scenario in these different time periods over the last 100 years, what the median might be, and what the buying power of these might be. Because you got to take into account all these different scenarios. This basically just, since it's so far out, just use these for comparison's sakes. Looking at the difference between 36 and 42 years, $1,000 more a month. That's in the worst case scenario, using the median numbers, 3,000 up to almost 5,000, that extra 6 years. Get started young. Man, if you start doing this in 23, age 23, 24, you can have these kind of time periods. Look at the difference it makes and what you can eventually have in monthly withdrawals. Again, use these simply for comparison's sake, showing the difference of what an extra 2, 4, or 6 years can make in your planning. But that's what we do on this channel. We run numbers for people. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please share it with others. Let people know there's a channel out there that will run all kinds of numbers. Please like the videos, and thanks for watching.